Hello everyone, I am Crawlers and I'd like to talk to you about possible evolution events in Battlefield 1 today. Right now I am playing, as you can see, a game that so thoroughly nailed the concept of destruction, Bad Company 2, which, well, back when it was called Destruction, this was a really cool concept. I know before I saw the trailer for Bad Company 2, I was playing COD 4, as I'm sure many of you were, and I was having fun with it, I gotta say. But, after I saw the possibilities of what DICE could do, the explosions which caused holes in walls and altered buildings, and you literally could let you take out, most of the enemy's cover and even completely demolish most buildings. I was hooked. I mean, I pre-ordered Bad Company 2 and never went back to playing COD ever again, which we all know later a lonely barrel exploded in and a two-dimensional fireball picture of a fireball was appeared. Now, of course, depending on who you ask, Levolution as it appears in Battlefield 4 is a bad thing. Uh, well, great in theory and looking absolutely kick-ass in cinematics and trailers, Levolution is not necessarily a good thing. And, like many in the PC gaming community, I tend to agree. I mean, obviously, it's not fair judging any kind of revolution by the by the times rather, when it wasn't working. But you can't help but remember the sour taste it left in our mouths when, on release, Revolution crashed a lot of servers. Some admins went even so far as to ban people from the server if they triggered the Siege of Shanghai tower collapse. Not only did it crash the servers then, but it also turned the map into a misty diarrhea-colored soup that was none too pleasant or fun. And a while back, when the Final Stand DLC was still ironing out its bugs in CTE, I was playing a game with the devs and I asked them a question, in chat. I, like many others, didn't like the sandstorm on Gulf of Oman, for many reasons, as you can imagine. It came in way too early. It uh, never went away, as I'm sure a real storm probably should. And it made the map I otherwise love to play look like shit, pardon my Russian. So I asked, well, is there any way for an admin to turn off the Levolution in server settings if he wanted to play without the Levolution? So, and at the time I was, well, actually before this, I admin our clan, Bad Company 2, and later Battlefield 3 server, the Blackhearts. And well, to my surprise, I actually got a reply from the devs. Um, of course, it can't be done in Battlefield 4, but they apparently did consider the option of it. Just never implementing it, probably because of time constraints. So, having said this, I would absolutely love to see an option for um, and the admin in Battlefield 1 to turn off any scheduled or player triggered Levolution events in the game, as I'm sure there will be some. I mean, it's a big selling point for Battlefield games, and as I said, it makes for awesome cinematics and trailers. And as such, the Battlefield 1 trailer showed us some destruction happening on the battlefield. There's a plane smacking into the windmill, a windmill I should say, completely destroying it with, pieces of brick and things flying off it in all directions. Similarly, a British tank rams into what looks like to be a very nice building, French maybe, and we see all sorts of little destruction pieces, things flying off, pieces flying off in all directions. Now, this makes me cautiously optimistic as to as we long wanted DICE to go back to kind of these Destruction 2.0 days from Bad Company 2, where you could destroy parts of buildings and structures with explosives, making things fly off it and putting extra windows into houses the Russian way by careful application of C4. Now, you know that if you uh, do this enough times, the building eventually came down in Bad Company 2. And this is precisely the kind of destruction I'd really love to see in Battlefield 1, as I'm sure you would. Something that looks amazing, but at the same time is small enough that it doesn't, kill the gameplay on the entire map, like the storm on Paracel or the sand on Oman or whatever. And another shot in the trailer shows you can shoot down an enemy barrage balloon, which served in World War One and Two as protection against aircraft for high-interest objectives like city centers, let's say London or something like that, or major troop landings, let's say Normandy and things like that. And another way the landscape and the scenery in Battlefield 1 could be altered is obviously artillery. Now, because that was by far the biggest killer in World War One, I mean, outside diseases, of course, so craters and destruction could be a thing. Indeed, Germans actually had a monster weapon even as early as World War One, called the Paris Geschütz, or nicknamed the Paris gun, which was a railway howitzer, a gigantic piece of hardware that was used to bombard Paris with, hold on to your shit buckets, everyone, 211 millimeter shells. Now, this gets even better when you consider the gun was later rebored to 238 millimeters, throwing gigantic Volkswagen sized shells over a 130-kilometer range. Now, needless to say, this gun literally altered the landscape of the war. Thankfully, such a monster was a nightmare to service and, only fired a handful of shells per day, all the while being a very stationary and perfect target for attacks from the air. So, it didn't really change the course of war, but it sure did put a hurt on the Allies. And now that I think about it, this might actually be a working concept in the Battlefield 1 gameplay, because we did see armored trains in the trailer, the teaser for Battlefield 1, and well, this thing, it was such a gigantic piece of hardware that it did travel by railway, obviously, and it traveled by specially designed tracks, which, because it was too big to travel by regular rail, so a special railway had to be built just for this gun, because it was so gigantic and it couldn't fit on the normal railways, thus obviously limiting its use quite a bit. Still, it could be something that would be an interesting concept to see in the game, as maybe an objectives that could be taken, a stationary commander controlled asset, something like that, that could be triggered when a certain point in conquest was taken. Also in World War One, both sides used to tunnel under the enemy's trenches, under the enemy's lines, and plant explosives, blowing up thousands of unlucky shots at a time. Now, to counteract this, they had listening people who actually sat and listened to vibrations in the soil all day, so as to kind of get a warning before the enemy tunneled under them and retreat. This obviously, the explosions were so gigantic that they obviously altered the landscape and trenches as well, leaving huge craters in the countryside. Now, the Battlefield 1 trailer also featured a big sprawling sand map, and This is a huge open space, so not a whole lot of opportunity for destruction here. I think makes sense then that for anyone who got sand in their eyes from playing Golf of Oman, that dice would not pass up the chance to recreate the infamous sandstorm from Battlefield 4. Maybe even shifting dunes of some sort. Um, I would kind of be against this, but I fear that it's far too late in the development cycle of Battlefield 1 to actually change anything, if DICE in fact did go this route. I mean, I guess we need to wait till E3 to actually see some gameplay outside the trailers and teasers set up with with one specific purpose to give us a raging boner the size of an East Coast lighthouse. And I gotta say, so far it's working. So, thanks for watching. Please rate and share this video as it helps my channel grow. Check out my other videos at the end of this one. And remember, in Soviet Russia, YouTube subscribes you.